Hi, I'm Jae Mather from the Carbon Free Group. I'd like to talk to you briefly about global macro trends and the mega trends of the world that are all affecting businesses. The Carbon Free Group is focused in on connecting innovation, bringing together the bits and pieces, the disparate parts, into the whole so that we can solve problems in more effective, more efficient ways. Currently, many of our management systems fail even when they succeed. Even if they accomplish their goals, businesses, for instance, that may use ISO 14001 as an environmental management system can still have a massive impact on the environment. They could still utterly fail at solving their problems, even with success. We could say the same thing about many of our finance management mechanisms, our political, our societal, our environmental, our social, whatever they may be. There are many examples of management systems currently letting us down. Now, the reality here is that in finance, we've got a lot of money that focuses on a very narrow part, the very peak, the top point of investment. Things that make a very good return, are very low risk, that have well proven in the marketplace for there being customers or demand or other products and services that are like them. Now that's great, but the simple fact is there are a lot of things that are on the rest of the curve that we need to solve our problems, that actually fix things, that make things better. They enable us to regenerate or have a positive impact. And those are the places where we need much more effort and much more time. It is at the synergy between different systems, A, B, and C, where you often have problems. That interface point between technologies or solutions is robustly the place where we constantly have failures. Carbon Free Group is all about trying to pull those together and work with, enable us to synergize more, to have interdependencies on each other. In many ways, that's the whole point of the circular economy. Circular economics is where there is no end point, no waste product within a system. The system moves from one stage to the next, to the next, to the next, and it continues in a virtuous cycle. Exactly how nature works. There is no waste in nature. The end product of one cycle is always the beginning product of another. So the Carbon Free Group is conglomerating together these sort of things. We're not the first ones. There are plenty of others that have done many aspects of this, if not the whole thing too. What we are trying to do here is transition from tell and tell to show and tell. We work around built environment solutions, practical examples, real kick the tire things that people can see and feel. This is about demonstrating best practice. And as a group, we have worked on the first passive houses in the UK, the first zero carbon buildings, the first carbon positive buildings. And those are examples. But the key point behind those are not just proof of concept. It's about proof of economic viability. There's no point in sustainability sectors of focusing on the 5 to 10% edge effect of where much of the effort is. The point is to focus on the 80%, the big, big group. This is about saying to people that sustainable business is just business common sense. This is about showing and demonstrating that with the right thought, with the right effort, with the right conglomeration, you can deliver something that is lower impact, better value, more sustainable, and in many ways, cheaper than the conventional. And that's the whole point. Now, the global macro trends are all rolling around the concept of VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, and complex and ambiguous. That's pretty much the world we live in. Any of us living today can see that the volatility is increasing. The uncertainty is all over the place. It's getting ever more complex, yet the problems are becoming quite ambiguous. And that means that the management systems that we have always used in the past to solve our problems have risen, have given rise to the world we see in front of us. And continuing to use those same management systems, the same mechanisms, the same ways of solving problems as the problems themselves were created by doesn't seem to make much sense. The best you can get with a broken system is varying degrees of failure. So why do we continue to use broken systems to manage our problems? So we need to think differently. The other elements are society is changing. It's changing radically. We have demographic transition as many countries are moving from a great abundance of older and older people and a smaller group of young people. Now that means you're going to have to support them very differently. You're going to have to think very differently of how the societies functions. Automation, art of virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, they're all radically going to shift things. And they could shift things in a positive way or in a negative way. It's highly unlikely they're going to shift things in a neutral way. We also have people being much more connected to each other, but ironically, with more information, we seem to be making many, many decisions that are worse for us, which is an interesting, complex pattern. The attitudes and expectations towards the environment and climate change issues are changing. More and more regular people are starting to care about this stuff and think about it because they're beginning to be affected by it. We're starting to see cyclical nature around us where species are disappearing, where certain plants aren't thriving where they used to, where other things are thriving that didn't used to, where we have more extreme weather conditions. We have policy and politics. There's a vast amount of examples of politics and policy really struggling with managing itself currently. The impact of new regulations on those policies, be they global agreements like the Paris Accord on climate change, which we've all committed to by 2050 an 80% reduction in carbon. These are radical shifts that are going to happen in our society. We have new regulations in the future that are going to keep coming, whatever they may be. We have resources. There are limits on how much there is. Everything from energy trends to water efficiency trends to material costs. We have taking long life approaches towards circular approaches and managing resource. That's all coming in. We have climate change, which is a gigantic issue. It's going to lead to radical shifts and disruptions within the weather patterns, which can make many places uninhabitable. It has been estimated that if you raise the temperature in places like Seville in Spain by over 42 degrees Celsius for more than 3 weeks, you'll decrease the amount of people who want to live in that environment by 20%. That is guaranteed by as little as 2030 to be the case. Now, these transitions are radical, and they're going to involve very different thinking and management practices. We have to think about how natural ecosystem services are becoming challenged by the way we've been treating them. And there are system failures coming, such as a prediction of 50% reduction in biodiversity across the planet Earth in the next 20 to 30 years. And that's 50% of all species that existed on the planet will be extinct. This is the first extinction event that we have created. It's the first extinction event out of probably roughly 5 or 6 that have occurred in the planet's history. The others have all been natural disasters. This is the one where we have managed this. We have invented it, we have created it, and we are continuing it. So little things like the Great Barrier Reef, it's doomed, unfortunately. If you like things like panda bears or lions or elephants or cheetahs, they're not going to be around for much longer because of our choices. And this simply put down to that. We choose the way we do because this is what we've become used to, and we can choose differently. We also have things like technology, smart technology, smarter materials, modern methods of construction, prefabrication. They are enabling us to embrace some of the beautiful, beneficial aspects of what's happening around us. Because we can start making buildings, for instance, that are cheaper, faster, more consistent, higher performance, no impact, positive impact. We can do all these things together. And that's the point, is there's new materials, there are new solutions all the time, but they need to be commercialized. This is about walking the walk. This is also about really demonstrating to people a vision of the future that we all want. One that's happier, one that's safer, one that's cleaner, one that's self-sufficient, which is more affordable. Because that's the future we all want, regardless of where you sit on your political spectrum. We all want a place that's like that. So that's the call here. Join the Carbon Free Group. Help us enable this process, because we are all needed more than ever. And sustainable business is just business common sense. Thank you.